Godzilla -1 has proven to be one of the most destructive Gojira incarnations.
Hang on, guys. Give me a second. I'm just gonna. I have the audio too high because Joki said is playing music, and I'm not sure if it's copyright, so I'm just keeping it at half. That's right. I also have the subtitles on. This video is a terrible debug. Joji said that I hate tuning into myself, but it is so bad right now. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I can use that searching in the monsters. I can show you some of the I'll show you the debugs. Yeah, this is the might of -1. If you watch that searching in the monsters might of -1, you know that the atomic weapon is 11.4 megatons of TNT, and even above mountain of TNT. Oh wait, what? Hang on. Oh yeah, I watched the full ADT, which was so I'm getting tired of that. Hang on, I'll debug that too in a second. Maybe I'll just do that. This is a very bad debug. For anyone who watch to know what to do, just go watch it. What to do, what to do survive that meteor. I can show you. I don't know. I can show you. Yeah, I can show you. You can ask that searching the monsters. What's that?
A literal walking weapon of mass destruction, wrecking anything that crosses its path. But what if legendary Godzilla got in the way? What would this guy think about -1? And most importantly, would this heat ray hurt its Monsterverse counterparts? In this...
No, I hate 2 minutes. I don't think -1 will actually do anything to Dot's legendary's Dot's body. He can shoot a breath. He can shoot his 11.4 megaton breath, but that's can take a meteor that is can wipe out destroy the planet on the surface. I'm struggling with the thought. I know this is a terrible debug video. I don't even know why I'm making this right now. I just want to do this. I'm just excited.
This episode will reveal what could happen if these two existed in the same universe and see if these two would eventually get along.
No.
Subscribe to not miss any content on your favorite kaiju. Coming up, legendary Godzilla meets -1. To begin, we'll start by stating that this episode is not necessarily a face-off, but rather a what-if scenario where both Gojiras will have the opportunity to interact with each other in an alternate universe. In this scenario, we'll stick with the events that occurred in the film Godzilla -1, where this guy visited Ginza and more or less marked his territory by leaving a very special form of radioactive footprints, a nuke explosion. The creation of these new weapons and technological advances that brought forth this amount of destruction took place at the end of World War II and improved upon during the Cold War era. If you want to relive the war atmosphere of this time period, there's discuss the serious effects that are caused by just one of these heat ray blasts. But to go a little more in depth, note that upon exploding, this mushroom-shaped cloud happens to be setting up the perfect condition to send atomic particles up to the atmosphere. These
again, more wasted watch. It has nothing to do with legendary story and how it's going to affect them also, because I can assure you that I was trying to tell Datsu, the chain of the monsters, that trying to tell Datsu to the monsters that legendary Dots And I was trying to tell that certain little monsters that Doji was trying to explain what -1 is. I counted it. He responded saying that has it with it arrow up or something, it's a sideways vegetable -1 thing. The thing that most short try to do on the top. It's the top. It's all your statements or weird things.
Particles spread out and fall back down in the form of dust, or in many cases as tar-colored rain. Anything or anyone that makes contact with this is subject to radioactive poisoning. This stuff also renders any food, water...
I remember Godzilla died. He said that he's -1 to be the most dangerous version of Godzilla. This is the poison thing. This is the poison that is describing. Radioactive poisoning. This stuff also when there's any
or ground inadequate
or drown
for use or consumption.
For use and consumption. It's gonna make your body weak. It's gonna start. I don't know. This is a terrible video, but it's gonna do that. And well.
People that do not wash this stuff away or are exposed to the surrounding area where the nuke explodes will suffer from ionizing radiation, causing mutations in their genetics or cancer. There's more. The debris and cloud that rises from the ground will block any sunlight for a long time period. Any surviving vegetation will now be deprived of adequate sunlight, causing much of the surrounding flora to eventually die off. So why does all this matter in this scenario? If it hasn't become clear already, just one of these heat rays fired by this Godzilla has some serious consequences in the environment. Nothing good comes out of this. In our scenario, -1 fires one heat ray and Legendary just so happens to be close enough to detect a radioactive spike. Immediately, Legendary turns from his normal patrolling route and heads straight to Ginza. This confrontation is about to begin. While Godzilla makes his way to Ginza, let's quickly discuss what this Godzilla might do once he finds out that this dude is the culprit. Monsterverse Godzilla, unlike its counterpart in -1, has a different philosophy when it comes to inflicting destruction. Legendary's Goji's role in the planet is more or less to make sure there is environmental stability, and to take out any threats that might cause global catastrophe. There are many examples of this, such as when Godzilla prevented this Muto pair from reproducing. Had they reproduced, then we would be looking at a global Muto takeover. In Aftershock, he killed Muto Prime, preventing another Muto pair to be produced. In King of the Monsters, this guy was after Ghidorah, who was not only a living Category 6 hurricane, but also the one responsible for summoning many titans to wake up and ruin the planet. In Godzilla Dominion, the G-Man prevented Amulek from taking over a territory overseen by Behemoth, and in the act saved one of the world's largest rainforests from being contaminated by this pestilent titan. So, as we can see, Legendary Goji seems to have a big issue with titans that destroy the environment for no good reason. To be fair, this Godzilla has caused a lot of collateral damage. In the name of the greater good, but never goes out and destroys things for no reason. Unless, of course, those things attack him. So now that we learned what living forms piss Godzilla off, we can now go back to -1, who is admiring his work of art, which just so happens to be the type of stuff that pisses off Legendary, who actually just arrived just in time to see the mess -1 made. What exactly happens isn't known for sure, but we'd guess their first encounter would go a little like this. From Godzilla's point of view, the focal point of this scene would obviously be the big ginormous mushroom cloud that towers in the sky. Black tar like liquid rain as Godzilla gazes upon the leveled city and the mass corpses left behind by the rubble. It's evident that whatever life used to be here is now terminated, and this land is no longer suitable for life for many years. Now, logically, Godzilla will try to figure out who did this. And to his surprise, he turns and sees what seems to be a smaller member of his own species.
A small member that can get truly atomically explosive It exposes the power of the weapon point from metatons.
Surprise, surprise! Now, admittedly, we'd like to think that Legendary would be a bit surprised after finding out that this colossal mushroom cloud and vast amount of destruction was caused by this little fella right here. Don't get us wrong, -1 is huge, but compared to Legendary, this dude is less than half the height of this Godzilla. Legendary is now thinking a lot here while staring at this little guy. Someone like him, an alpha who is responsible for establishing order on the planet, may now think to do the following. One option would be to get the little Goji to submit and perhaps call him up later when a blast like this is required, since killing him right here would be a waste of atomic power. After all, the side effects happening in Ginza are in the end beneficial to Legendary since this guy feeds on radiation. It's not out of character for the G-Man to spare malevolent titans. He's done this before many times as long as they submit, and even gone as far as rescuing malevolent titans from humans, as was the case with Titanus Nikika. But will the G-Man spare -1? Maybe, that's if this one is cooperative, but there's a flip side to this. Upon encountering -1 for the first time, Godzilla will not necessarily be sure that this guy is fully grown, meaning that in the G-Man's point of view, this guy could still be a juvenile and has more room to grow and get larger, potentially growing to become more powerful than himself, turning -1 into a serious threat, one that might threaten his status as Alpha in the future. So, what would Legendary Godzilla do in this case? Well, it's become clear at this point that Legendary will very likely hate -1 automatically, since the cooperation of this fella seems very unlikely after witnessing that there was no real reason to destroy this place. There are no other kaiju around that were fighting -1. There were no real pre-existing threats here that mess with the planet, therefore nullifying any good excuse -1 had for blowing up this place. As a result, Godzilla will now determine that this dude is a bully and automatically, since the cooperation. Now this leads us to how this Godzilla would fare in battle. Here you have to set all bias aside regarding who's your favorite Godzilla and stick with the facts. And that is that Legendary Godzilla will have the edge in most, if not all, physical categories. If you need more detail, then we're talking about some combat attributes such as weight, speed.
No, it just surprises me that they made weight matter. Weight doesn't. I assume he say with. Wait, not. He say with Super Meta Godzilla. Well, who weighs 150,000 tons. Speed and agility, I guess they matter. The speed definitely matters, and agility also, or which but weight, no. Weight doesn't matter. This is so bad.
Agility, and most definitely melee weaponry.
Which has better attack points.
Since the tail alone of this Godzilla would be enough to send -1 flying. If hit with the very tip of the tail with the dorsal spikes, Legendary would technically almost be able to cut this dude in half given the centrifugal force. So to save us some time, there is absolutely no way -1 would be able to hold its ground against a melee assault from Legendary. And the best part here is that they both know this. Legendary Godzilla would literally be looking at -1 with the "we both know you don't want this fight" look. So obviously -1 would resort to its more powerful weapon, the Heat Ray, which is a blue-hued atomic ray of energy that condenses into an impacted target, causing a blast similar to an atomic bomb. Or as Legendary Godzilla calls it, food.
I know it's food. I know that's what's gonna get mad at me if he does that shit, but it is food. It's literally just an atomic bomb. Legendary's just gonna eat it.
That's right. In the past, Legendary Godzilla has served these delicious atomic delicacies every time with favorable side effects, often returning as more robust, stronger, more energetic, agile, etc. That is because Titans like him make use of these high levels of radiation and come out stronger than before, regardless of the effects of the insane power of the pressure from the blast. Humanity has been surprised by this feat already after the nuclear test in Castle Bravo, when they realized they didn't kill the G-Man after blowing up a nuke in his face. In King of the Monsters, this was later used as a way to juice him up. So there's absolutely no reason to think that if hit with a heat ray, Legendary Godzilla wouldn't come out benefiting from this. Does the blast itself affect Godzilla? Maybe, but it most definitely isn't
No, the blast would do nothing. It would just
enough to handicap him. After Serizawa detonated the warhead in Godzilla's lair, the previously injured G-Man rose rapidly, displaying his full atomic prowess. So, in our scenario, Godzilla would initially run up to -1, attempting to finish him off using melee attacks. Knowing that he's about to get stumped, -1 charges up his heat ray and fires on legendary Goji. After the smoke clears away, and to -1's terror, legendary Goji emerges from the cloud dust, gradually becoming even more radioactive. After witnessing that his most powerful attack did not work, he now has a decision to make: submit or face certain death. So it's likely that if this Godzilla wants to stay alive, he'll submit. However, legendary Godzilla may have different ideas. Remember, this little guy in his point of view could still grow up larger. If legendary lets him live, he risks this fella inflicting even more destruction, potentially killing millions of life forms. A fun detail is found in Godzilla Dominion, where he knew that this old nuclear warhead would explode if he allowed Scylla to access it. So he knows pretty well the negative effects of this power, so it's likely that Godzilla would choose to end -1. Godzilla's atomic breath works differently than -1's, not necessarily condensing into an atomic bomb, but still packed with enough heat and destructive power to kill it if it's exposed to it for enough time. Melee-wise, Godzilla would tear -1 to shreds, but risking regeneration after he's all torn up.
the only reason why -1 died in the movie because just about he's about to fire his beam, the plane flies into his mouth. The plane flies into his mouth, explodes a part of his head, and then the beam that he was about to fire turns on him in the inside, and now he cannot regenerate. He turns
Legendary would likely finish it with the atomic blast. But this is just one possibility. Do you think Legendary would spare -1 in hopes that he doesn't become trigger happy again? Or do you think -1 signed the line and sealed his fate by firing at Legendary Goji? Don't forget to hit the link below to play War Thunder for free on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, so you can get all these
Okay, that's all, guys. Bye bye.